Hello. Welcome to the Dower Hour. Everybody has a dour hour in their lives, and this is the darkest hour of the soul. Actually, you would expect it to be midnight, but no, it's only about 10:30. But it is dark outside. Very bleak. It was a cold, gray day. Gray, a good day to visit the graveyards. See the yellow grass sticking helplessly out of the ground, desperate for the warmth of the summer breeze, but only finding the cold, cold winter breezes. Unforgiving weather. It's little wonder that people like Edgar Allan Poe were driven to so much horrendous drug use. Who could blame him? And tonight, on the Dower Hour, I will be reading Poe. Alan Edgar. I guess Allan Poe is his last name. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be reading Edgar Allan Poe. First, I'll have a sip of my cold, bitter black coffee. Anybody want to pay for a sponsorship for these videos of me reading public domain poetry in a dour way? Please get in touch, because I always have cold black coffee. Oh, it warms the soul even when it's cold and bitter. I am reading Edgar Allan Poe poetry that I have never read before in my life. If I become shocked with the horror of the moment, don't blame me. Blame me. To begin, I'm going to read a poem I never read by Edgar Allan Poe, because actually I don't think I've read any of Edgar Allan Poe. I've had it read to me, and like all poetry, it's best to be heard, not read. Just like life's experiences. Who wants to hear somebody write about somebody riding a roller coaster? If they feel like riding a roller coaster, they rather ride the roller coaster than hear somebody talk about it. It's an awful experience to have to sit there and listen to somebody explain their experiences on a roller coaster, even if they don't get sick on it. Who knows? But poetry is the light. It pulses like that bulb over there. Yes, even Bogey knows. Bogey, who looks like he just saw Mary Astor naked after 50 years of her being dead. Oh, the horror of it all. No, to Zante by Edgar Allan Poe. Fair isle, that from the fairest of all flowers, thy gentlest of all gentle names dost take. How many memories of what radiant hours at sight of thee and thine at once awake? How many scenes of what departed bliss? How many thoughts of what entombed hopes? How many visions of a maiden that is no more upon thy verdant slopes? No more, alas, that magical sad sound transforming all. Thy charms shall please no more, thy memory no more. Accursed ground henceforward, I hold thy flower enameled shore. O Hycene Isle, O purple Zante, Isola Dior, Fior di Levante. Oh my lordy lordy, that was amazing. To Zante by Edgar Allan Poe. Oh, to be honest, that poetry was not very scary, was it? No, but it had very good alliteration. It terrified me to read it. Oh, Purple Ozanti, Levante. That's great alliteration. Oh, I get chills. I get chills. Even though it's actually very warm in here. Because as I said, it was a very cold, gray day, so this is a very warm place right now to compensate for the chill in the air. Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. Annabel Lee. He wrote a lot about women, so perhaps that explains his unfortunate habits with medications he should not have been taking. Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. It was many and many a years ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom we may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged surfs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kingsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in the sepulchre. 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 I have no one here to help me with any of this. Not with the recording, not with the reading. I've never heard this poem before in my life, and you have to hear this stuff. Let me begin again. Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. And I want to remind you, Edgar Allan Poe does write a lot about women. And what did that Led Zeppelin song, Dazed and Confused, says? Soul of a woman was created below. I'm not sure if that's true, but I doubt it. But anyway, I mean, it's Edgar Allan Poe. It's scary. It's a scary thought. Scary. Remember Macbeth? No, you will be threatened by no man that was born of woman. And the witches said that. Ooh. Maybe I should read some Shakespeare. Yes. Yes. That can be scary. Oh, the thought of subjecting even myself to reading Shakespeare terrifies me. Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. And I'm not going to get the words to screw me up this time. It was many and many years ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the wings surfs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as we all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love is more, our love, but our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. From the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in a sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Oh, that's an awful, awful poem. Terrifying. How did she die again? Oh, let me see here. And this was the reason that long ago in the kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her highborn kinsman came and bore her away from me. Oh, a big thing from the sky and the water, and she died. Okay, Annabel Lee, and he's laying there by her tomb. Oh my lordy, lordy, it's terrifying. Even the lions are terrified. Even those plaster lions and the plastered bogey. He looks frightened. Maybe he really did see Mary Astor naked as an old lady. Two dot dot two dot dot two. Roman numeral two. By Edgar Allan Poe. The bowers whereat in dreams I see the wantonest singing birds, our lips and all thy melody of light begotten words. Thine eyes in heaven of heart enshrine, then desolately fall. O God, on my funeral mine, like starlight on a pall. Thy heart, I wake and sigh and sleep to dream till day of the truth that gold can never buy, of the baubles that it may. Don't ask me what that means. I have no idea. It's just an amazingly well worded piece of poetry. Technically, I mean that by saying, technically, let me take a sip of beautiful black, bitter, cold coffee on this black, bitter, cold night. The only good thing about a night like tonight is you can't see how gray it is. How dour and dark and gray it was at noon. And now it's just black and night. Like every night. Ah. Oh, incidentally, it's the night of the full moon. There's a full moon tonight. You can't see it because it's cloudy, but it's there. It's like a new moon hidden underneath a full moon. Ah, yes, indeed. Fairyland by Edgar Allan Poe. And this is a long one. This is a really long one. This isn't as long as I thought it was. Dim vales and shadowy floods and cloudy looking woods, whose forms we can discover for the tears that drip all over. Huge moons there wax and wane, again and again, every moment of the night, forever changing places, and they put out the starlight with the breath from their pale faces. About 12 by the moon dial, one more filmy than the rest, and kind. 5. You ever heard? I don't. I'm not going to say if you heard of this because this was something that happened and people used to do like 30 years before I was born. Instead of reacting in a negative way, what they would do is they would count to 10. Now, maybe I already explained this in an earlier video. I don't know. Because I didn't record videos for 6 weeks, and my inspiration is a professor I had in college. And no doubt, that professor repeated himself quite a bit. After all, I was his last class. He retired, I think that was his last semester. So, pardon me if I repeat myself by saying that what they would used to do 30 years before I was born, I'm Generation X, by the way, so we're talking a long time ago. They would count to 10 and then get on with what they had to do. Now, the good thing about that is you don't get caught in your emotions. You're still thinking productively. And once you get caught in your emotions, you're now no longer being productive. You're being reactionary. You're not getting something done. It's like if you, I worked at a fish market once, and it was a terrifying job. This is the dour hour, and it was not terrifying. I mean, it was my first job, so it was kind of, daunting and nerve wracking in a way. But I felt confident. I felt like an adult for the first time. It was my freshman year in high school, and I was thinking, now I'm actually an adult. I'm working. It's awful. It's a horrible experience. It's a shame that anybody has to do it, but I'm doing it. So I actually feel like a useful part of society. So I'm over there working, and I'm getting fish scales stuck under my fingernails, and I'm getting my clothes completely covered in fish guts and stinking to high heaven at the end of the workday. And it just goes on like that for about 10 days before I just said, you know what? I don't have to work here. I could work somewhere else. And I never worked at the fish market again. But during that 10 days, it was a Saturday. Busy, very busy. Very, very busy Saturday. I don't know why so many people like fish in the summertime, but yes, it was a fish market in the summertime. And while it was air conditioned inside, I had to take rotten whiting out to the garbage can. And that is a little walk around the back of the building. And I'm out there walking and I'm walking, and I got this wooden crate, rotted fish, rotted crate. And it just fell right out under the crate. About 10, 15, maybe 30 whiting. I can embellish about this now. It's a while ago. Just fell out on my pants, all over my shoes, and all over the street. It's 98 degrees outside, baking hot. I could have just started letting my reactions, my emotions, control my actions, couldn't I? I could have started banging my head against the brick walls. I could have started jumping up and down. I could have started throwing the rotted fish into the street. I could have just started attacking a passerby out of my anger because the fish fell out of the underneath the wooden cart, wooden carrier thing. And I didn't do that. No, because it wouldn't be productive. And the way to not let yourself get into that is counting to 10. I didn't have to count to 10. I was already miserable. I was just like, I'm just going through the motions. I'm just going to go inside, pick up the fish, throw it out, go inside, and be miserable there in the air conditioning when I'm done. But if I wasn't miserable, and if I was in a really bad, energetic mood, like this black coffee was really, getting to me, I actually never drank coffee back then. But if I did, I was a little more short tempered. Fish falls out on the ground, head in the air a little bit, close my eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go inside, get something better to carry the fish, throw it out, go back inside later, go back and do your business. Don't let your emotions control you, and you can actually become a productive person. Why did I bring that up? I don't know. But back to Dower Hour. Fairyland by Edgar Allan Poe. Dim vales and shadowy floods and cloudy looking woods, whose forms we can't discover for the tears that drip all over, huge moons that wax and wane again and again and again, every moment of the night, forever changing places, and they put out the starlight with the breath from their pale faces, about 12 by the moon dial, one more filmy than the rest, a kind which, upon trial, they have found to be the best, comes down, still down and down with its center on the crown of a mountain's eminence, while its wide circumference in easy drapery falls over hamlets, over halls, wherever they may be, or the strange woods, or the sea, over spirits on the wing, over every drowsy thing, and buries them up quite in a labyrinth of light. And then, how deep, oh deep, in the passion of their sleep, in the morning they arise, and their moony covering is soaring in the skies, with the tempests as they toss, like almost anything, or yellow albatross. They use the moon no more, for the same end as before. Videlicet, a tent which I think extravagant. Its atomies forever, however, in its into a shower deserver, of which those butterflies of earth who seek the skies and so come down again, never contented things, have brought a specimen upon their quivering wings. Ooh, fairyland. Fairyland. Dower Hour continues. Well, let me check one thing on my little phone there. It's a little technical issue here because I don't want to keep reading this stuff over and over again if I can help it. Ah, it's working. It's working. It's working perfectly. I don't know what that thing is, but it plugs into the phone to make sure this microphone is working too. It's the thing. I'm at the age where I can start calling things things and I know what I'm talking about. You younger people, I'm sorry for you for having to explain yourselves more clearly than I have to. Yes. Him by Edgar Allan Poe. Him as in song, him, him. Like I'm a classic rock fan, as I mentioned. Him 43 by Jethro Tull. Not that guy, him. No, him. And it's a poem, so poetries are meant to be sung, like songs, like hymns by Edgar Allan Poe. At morn, at noon, at twilight dim, Maria, thou hast heard my hymn. In joy and woe, in good and ill, Mother of God, be with me still. When the hours flew brightly by, and not a cloud obscured the sky, my soul, lest it should truant be, thy grace did guide to thine and thee. Now, when storms of fate o'erkissed, darkly my present and my past, let my future radiant shine with sweet hopes of thee and thine. Him. Oh, I like that one. Oh, 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 what do we have here? Oh, there's a few left. Oh, there's actually quite a few left. What have I done to myself? What have I done? Oh, yes. So let me organize these things. Oh, a Valentine. Who wants to hear a dour Valentine poem by Edgar Allan Poe? It's not even February. Actually, I don't think this has anything to do with Valentine's Day, does it? A Valentine by Edgar Allan Poe. We'll find out for ourselves right now. As I said, I haven't read most of these. In fact, I never read this one before in my life. Ever. Bogey never read it. Lion never read it. I never read it. I'll take a little sip here. Please sponsor. I drink coffee a lot. Can't you tell? Can't you see how hyper I am? I am hyper. My blood is up right now. I don't know what that means, but I heard it in an old movie where a guy had extra energy and naturally, and instead of just being kind of, tired blood. I'm not a medical guy. I don't know what anything means anymore. Thing. A Valentine by Edgar. Excuse me. A Valentine by Edgar Allan Poe. For her, this rhyme is penned, whose luminous eyes, brightly expressive as the twins of Leda, shall find her own sweet name that nestling lies upon the page enwrapped from every reader. Search narrowly the. I think I just start over. I'm going to start over here. Get a little distracted by something. It's the flashing light to my left. You see, it's a little too much like a real fire. It's actually kind of hypnotic, which is kind of why I had it, on, because this is Dower Hour. And I want to have like a fireside chat thing with ceramic statues. Actually, they're not ceramic; they're plaster. But I digress. A Valentine by Edgar Allan Poe. For her this rhyme is penned, whose luminous eyes, brightly expressive as the twins of Leda, shall find her own sweet name that nestling lies upon the page enwrapped from every reader. Search narrowly the lines, they hold a treasure divine, a talisman, an amulet that must be worn at heart. Search well the measure, the words, the syllables, do not forget the trivialest point, or you may lose your labor, and yet there is in this no Gordian knot, which one might not undo without a saber, if one could merely comprehend the plot. And written upon the leaf where now are peering eyes scintillating soul, there lie perduous three eloquent words oft uttered in the hearing of poets. By poets, the name is a poet's too. Its letters, although naturally lying like the night Pinto, Menendez, Fernando, still from a synonym for truth. Cease trying. You will not read the riddle, though you do the best you can do. Yes, I just did the best I can do. And this had absolutely nothing to do with Valentine's Day to me. Must have had something to do with Edgar Allan Poe, but as I said, he poor man had some issues. But I think everybody had issues back then. I mean, they had something called triskaidekaphobia. Triskaidekaphobia is a fear of being buried alive. Ugh. And that was the origin of wakes, by the way. Wakes. Viewings or wakes, I consider those to be barbaric because a viewing and a wake in the days of Edgar Allan Poe was they weren't sure if the person in the casket was dead yet. So they waited to see if they would wake up. So why are we doing that now? No answer. But to keep into the theme of death. Visit of the Dead by Edgar Allan Poe. The soul shall find itself alone, alone of all on earth unknown. The cause but none are near to pry into thine hour of secrecy. Be silent in its solitude, which is not loneliness, for then the spirits of the dead who stood in life before thee are again in death around thee, and their will shall then overshadow thee. Be still for the night, though clear shall frown, and the stars shall look not down from their thrones in the dark heaven, with light like hope to mortals given, be their red orbs without beam, to thy withering heart shall seem as a burning and a fever, which would cling to thee forever, but will leave thee as each star in the morning light afar will fly thee and vanish. But its thought thou canst not banish. The breath of God will be still, and the wish upon the hill be the summer breeze unbroken shall charm thee as a token, and a symbol which shall be secrecy in thee. Oh, excuse me. I don't understand the poem at all. I'm going to read it again. Why not? Visit the dead. Thy soul shall find itself alone, alone of all the earth unknown. The cause, but none are near to pry into thine hour of secrecy. Be silent in that solitude which is not loneliness, for then the spirits of the dead who stood in life before thee are again in the death around thee, and their will shall then overshadow thee. Be still for the night, though the clear all shall frown, and the stars shall look not down from their thrones in the dark heaven. It with the light like hope in mortals given, be but their red orbs without beam, to thy withering heart shall seem, as a burning and a fever which would cling to thee forever, but it will leave thee as each star in the morning light afar, will fly thee and vanish, but its thought thou canst not banish, the breath of God will be still, and the wish upon the hill by that summer breeze unbroken shall charm thee as a token and a symbol which shall be secrecy in thee. I still have no idea what that poem is talking about, but I should understand this one very well because it's what I'm doing right now, sitting here alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I cannot bring my passions from my common spring. From the same source I have not taken. My sorrow I cannot awaken. My heart to joy as the same tone. All I loved, and I loved alone. Thou in my childhood in the dawn of a most stormy life was drawn from every depth of good and ill, my mystery which binds me still, from the torrent of the fountain, or from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder in the storm, and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of the heaven was blue, of a demon in my view. Yes, alone. Alone. I want to read that again too. I like that one. Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. I am not seen as others saw. I cannot bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source, I have not taken my sorrow. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone as all and all I loved. I loved alone. Thou in my childhood, when the dawn of a most stormy life was drawn from every depth of good good. God, good. Oh man, that's way off. Of good, and now the mystery which binds me still. Because I screwed up, I'm going to start over again. And if I don't sound as ghoulish this time, don't blame me. From childhood's hour, I have not been alone by Edgar Allan Poe. Excuse me. From childhood's hour I have not been as others were. I have not seen my as others saw. I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrow. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. Oh, in all I loved alone. Though in my childhood the dawn of a most stormy life I was drawn from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still, from the torrent on the or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view. I like that one. Just because of the title. It's alone. I'm not going to read it again. I promise. There's only two left. And these are the most terrifying poems of all. Oh, terror. Did you know that Edgar Allan Poe was basically a son of Baltimore, Maryland? Isn't there anything more terrifying than that? It's like living in Baltimore today and watching the Baltimore Ravens lose every postseason. Oh, terrifying. Oh, their Super Bowl was 12 years ago already. 12 years. That's It's a while. I mean, it's almost a generation. That's half of a generation. Ulalume by Edgar Allan Poe. The skies, they were ashen and sober. The leaves, they were crisp and sere. The leaves, they were withering and sere. It was night in the lonesome October of my most immemorial year. It was hard by the dim lake of Auber in the misty mid-region of Ware. It was down by the dank tark of Auber in the ghoul-haunted woodland of Ware. Here once, though, through an alley titanic of Cyprus. I roamed with my soul, of Cyprus with Psyche, my soul. These were days when my heart was volcanic, and as the Socratic rivers that roll, as the lavas that restlessly roll, their sulphurous currents down Yannick, in the ultimate climbs of the pole, that groan as they roll down Mount Yannick in the realms of the boreal pole. Our talk had been serious and sober, but our thoughts, they were palsied and sere. Our memories were treacherous and sere, for we knew not the month was October, and we marked it not the night of the year. Ah, night of all nights in the year, we noted not the dim lake of Auber, though once we have journeyed down here. Remember not the dank tarn of Auber, nor the ghoul-haunted woodland of Ware. And now, as the night was sentient, and star dials pointed to morn, as the star dials hinted of morn, at the end of our path, a liquescent and nebulous luster was born, one of which a miraculous crescent arose with a duplicate horn. Astarte's bediamonded crescent, distinct with its duplicate horn. And I said, she is warmer than Dian. She rolls through an ether of sighs. She revels in the region of sighs. She has seen that the tears are not dry on these cheeks where the worm never dies, and has come past the stars of the lion to point us to the path, to the skies, to the Lethian peace of the skies, come up in despite of the lion, to shine on us with her bright eyes, come up through the lair of the lion, with love in her luminous eyes. But Psyche, uplifting her finger, said, Sadly, this star I mistrust. Her pallor I strangely mistrust. Ah, hasten, ah, let us not linger. Ah, fly, let us fly, for we must. In terror she spoke, letting sink her wings until they trailed in the dust. In agony sobbed, letting sink her plumes till they trailed in the dust, till they sorrowfully trailed in the dust. I replied, This is nothing but dreaming. Let us on by this tr- tremulous light. Let us bathe in this crystalline light. Its symbolic splendor is beaming with hope in its beauty tonight. See, it flickers up the sky through the night. Ah, we safely may trust to its gleaming and be sure it will lead us aright. We safely may trust to a gleaming that cannot be guided us aright, since it flickers up to heaven through the night. Thus I pacified Psyche and kissed her, and tempted her out of her gloom, and conquered her scruples and gloom. And we passed to the end of the vista, but were stopped by the door of a tomb, by the door of a legended tomb. And I said, What is written, sweet sister, on the door of this legended tomb? She replied, Ulalume, Ulalume, 'tis the vault of thy lost Ulalume. Then my heart is grew ashen and sober, as the leaves that were crisp and sere, as the leaves that were withering and sere. And I cried, It was surely October, on this very night of last year, that I journeyed down here, that I brought a dread burden down here, on this night of all nights in the year. Ah, what demon hath tempted us me here? Well, I know now that dim lake of Auber, this misty mid-region of Ware. Ullalum! Oh, the terror of Ullalum! Oh, these poems, they should be studied better than by me. Oh, what does it mean? Oh, I'm not done. Another poem. I'm gonna reread the last, just the last verse here. There's two lines that I missed. 3, 2, 1. Then my heart it grew ashen and sober, as the leaves they were crisped and sere, as the leaves that were withering and sere. And I cried, It was surely October on this very night of last year, that I journeyed down here, that I brought a dread burden down here, on this night of all nights in the year. Ah, what demon hath tempted me here? Well, I know now that this dim lake of Auber, this misty mid region of Ware, well, I know now this dank tarn of Auber, this ghoul haunted woodland of Ware. Now that's the end of the poem. Ullalum. Oh, I like Ullalum. I like all these poems. Edgar Allan Poe, he was an interesting guy. No one could take that away from him. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, this is the gold standard of public domain poetry. We're getting into the meat of it here. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Oh, I don't think I've ever read this poem before out loud. And I like birds. And this is the season of bird flu. How terrifying is that? The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. It's a dour night indeed. And you know what? That last poem had lines in it. Even the hats are darker this hour. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, "tapping at my chamber door, only this and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember it was the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, from the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless her forevermore. and the silken and uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to still be the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, 'tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating that no longer. Sir, said I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken and the stillness gave no token, and the only word that there spoken was the whispered word Lenore. This is this I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore. Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see, then. But there it is, in this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, in this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. Open here, I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt aflutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obseance made me he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas from just above my chamber door, perched and set in nothing more than this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what the lordly name of the night's Plutonian shore. Quote the raven nevermore. Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear this course of plainly, though its answer laid little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word as his soul, and in that one soul he did outpour nothing further. Then he uttered not a feather that he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply, so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it matters in is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master from unmerciful disaster, follow fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burn into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall express, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by a seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent me thee respite, and neepinthieth, I can't say that word, from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, this kind nepith, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or, excuse me, whether tempter, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed the here ashore. I'm adding too many beats to the poem. Now I'm going to continue normally. Desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore, quoted the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell this soul, for with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word or sign in parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoteth the raven nevermore. And the raven never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out of that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Pardon me for beating back a cough while reading that. Oh, that was good. I enjoyed reading that. If you enjoyed hearing that 1/10 as much as I enjoyed reading it, you are going to be richly satisfied by that experience. Trust me, I really enjoyed that. You can tell the lion liked it too. You know, on a good night with that light blinking like that, and if you really look at them a long time, and you could be completely sober in all things you can possibly imagine, they will turn and look at you. Okay, they didn't turn and look at me now. I tried. I waited. They're not in the mood. But who is, you know? I mean, you got to be in the mood to do things. I'm not in the mood to read this stuff, but I do it anyway. It's dour night music. And this is music. Poetry is music. Never forget that. I'm not really an instrument player, but a voice is an instrument. And this is music played with an instrument, which is a voice. Don't expect me to sing like an opera singer, like Pavarotti or anything, because this stuff is not meant to be sung. It's meant to be spoken and appreciated. Hmm. Yes, indeed. Anyway, I might read The Raven again someday when I get back to reading more Edgar Allan Poe. I don't feel like I've done that justice. I don't feel like I've done anything with justice personally, but I try, and that's the goal. You put your best foot forward and you try. If you can't make it, well, you tried, you know? What else can you do? Well, have a good night. Don't be so dour on a dour night. And I hope none of this stuff gives you bad dreams, because it's not meant to. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be appreciated. And Bogey and Mr. Lion, they're all saying good night.